What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Khost. As you guys see, woke up, got a quick little workout in, get the day started. A few pickups to do for some inventory, so I'm gonna be doing that today. Just kind of getting up and active, taking you guys through another day of the process as we continue to build on this business model. Like I mentioned before, business has failed before, due to some mistakes. As a whole, it was mistakes because of the fact that we didn't think about these things before they happened. So I just want to take you guys through the rundown of how I first even got started doing Amazon FBA and eBay and just the whole resale game. But I used to work for an airline. I ended up meeting a guy and he ended up telling me about Amazon FBA. So as he was telling me about Amazon FBA, but he was telling me that he was selling books. I was trying to do clothing. So I would have my own jeans, which I'll show you guys a few mock-ups of some of the clothing that I created. But as he was telling me, we was kind of just talking about business and things of that nature. I don't know exactly how we got on the topic, but we got on somewhere on the topic where he ended up showing me the numbers behind what he do. And I looked at it, I said, wow, this is off one product. So as we decided to go deeper in the conversation, I just asked him to teach me, if he'd be willing to teach me. He was willing to teach me. He actually took me to a few stores to go sourcing. He opened the doors to me. He allowed me into his world of just resale in the Amazon game. And from that point forward, I started selling the same product. It's been a different type of challenge seeing, your account go up to 15K in sales after 3 months. Back down to you only getting about $40 a day. These experiences were definitely humbling. It taught me each and every time how to find a solution in the problem because of the fact that we were going through a certain time in which sometimes in business, that's what you go through, but the strong survive, right? So even during that time, we were going through a lot of life situations where we had got this crib that I'm in now. We had people exit the house that were in the house at the start of it. Super low notice, as far as people exiting the house, which left a higher expense for me in general, me personally, because of the fact that I was the one kind of holding everything down as far as just putting more on the house. During that time, not only did I have to figure out how to fix business, but I also had to figure out how to set up a system for my life because living in a 3-bedroom home isn't cheap out here in LA. So when, people decide to leave, instead of helping the cause and just being here, sticking through, it just created more work for the ones that decided to stay, right? Like I say, it was super late notice, and I'm not the type of person that's gonna control somebody. So I'd rather let you leave than keep you here knowing that you don't want to help anyway. You know what I mean? Or knowing that you're not happy around, what's going on and the energy that's being given to you, things in that nature. I'm a real cool guy, but at the end of the day, I'm not in the game of trying to make people see the good in me or trying to make people see the good in their situation, right? Everybody got their time, everybody got their own journey, and everybody needs to learn from themselves, that having good, genuine people in their life just isn't something that come to you in the norm. So after that, I had to tackle this new bill that I had never paid in my life before. I was paying a few couple $1,000s, while I was also investing into the business. So it made it a lot more challenging. I was at one point spending $5,000 a month, business and bills. So for about good 9-10 months, that was my payment. I had never paid that in my life before. That was something new to me, and that was something that I literally had to strategically plan out. At that time I was working 2 jobs and I was doing the business, so I wasn't getting no sleep at all. I knew that something had to happen. I knew that I had to become something that I never became. So I ended up becoming a boss, right? And my mentality was I have to be owner. I have to play owner. Even if I'm not that yet, I have to display myself as a business owner. I have to display myself as someone in charge, someone that can ask questions, someone that can command to speak with the owner. So I had to sound like one. I had to look like one. And it was very different for me, because I never saw myself not saying never saw myself in the light of being a boss, but I never thought it'd happen so soon, right? So in doing that, I started reaching out to resellers, right? You know, at that time, AirPods and all this type of stuff was hot, right? And I needed to find a solution to be able to pay this house payment without like taking the income that I'm making to pay everything, right? So we ended up finding a way, or finding my next partner, and he was selling AirPods. And one thing that I always told him that I respect from him is he literally blessed me with AirPods to begin with no money down. He said, make the money. I'm gonna build trust with you. I told him I'll be his best seller, and that's what I became. I became one of his most consistent sellers. Now, was I flipping it in bulk? No, I was doing one by one, right? Because I was more so focused on the margins and receiving the margins to be able to pay the house, right? So from there, I started dipping and dabbling into other things like, man, how can I have professionals sleep in my home, so therefore it's cutting the rent, right? So I did that as well. I said, you know what? I'm gonna have only professionals come here to stay if they're traveling and things of that nature. So when I did that, that was another thing that I added on. And I was like, okay, look, now I'm becoming who I need to become, because now I'm solving the problems of life before I solve the problems of business. So once I start solving the problems of life and understanding what can I do to cut all expenses, I start now giving myself more time to understand business and how I could fix the problem of scaling the business that was dropping, that was failing so fast. We tackled it hard. You know, as we continued to save income, we were able to put majority of that income into the business. You know, as we were putting more majority of that income into business, obviously it equaled more inventory. Once it equaled more inventory, we were able to scale up. But then that's what happened when you have to think of other ways. You can't just rely on buying inventory all the time, because now that's taking money out your pocket. So we thought about different ways in which we can scale without having to use our capital. As we continue to build these skill sets and learn what to do and what not to do, as a team, we need to develop habits. We need to develop a mindset. And as we get deeper in this journey, like I say, you'll start to see how everything unfolded. I will tell you more in detail of how things played out in certain times, because there are going to be certain moments in which I show you guys that you guys will be able to say, wow, like, I remember this was nothing. And then you're going to see massive things. You know, you're going to see what it's like to scale a business, or what's the mindset you must have when you know business isn't going so well. You just can't quit. At the end of the day, the only way that you fail is if you quit. If you wake up one day and you decide that I quit what I'm doing, that's when you fail, because there's no other way to build something that you quit. You have to be strong. You have to be relentless. You can't worry about what life throw at you. You got to throw something at life. The finger always points at you at the end of the day. As a business owner, or just as a person in general, you should never try to point the finger at anybody else and try to blame them for the reason why you're not where you need to be. Point the finger at you, and point the finger at you only. But let me get up and let me get out, because we got a long day ahead of us. We got a lot of stuff that we need to package up. We got a lot of stuff that we need to scan in and list. So this is basically how the living room looked for majority of the time. I know it's junky, but look, at the end of the day, your home sometimes got to be your workplace. Again, this is the garage full of stuff. Look, the way I like to think about stuff is junky is good, because all it is a stock. I like to see stuff as a stock. We back in the lab with it. About to box up these boxes. We got about like 6 boxes that need to be packed up. We do got a lot of stuff that we need to list, but we just gonna get right to boxing things up, getting stuff packed out to go to UPS.
I want is to feel free. I need this now. Just a moment that feels like truth. I need it.
All right, so we back. We're going to do one of our pickups for one of our customers. All right, we got the empty pallets. We gotta take it back to the supplier, or they're gonna charge us. So we don't want to be charged, so we always take it back to the supplier. I forgot I had this pickup.
Enemy spotted.